Hey everybody, this is Kara Crossway Brindle. Welcome back to another episode of the Pivoting Practice. I have Kevin and Bert with us today. So cute. They're going to talk about how Kevin has pivoted in his practice, and we're going to learn from him as many of you want to learn how to diversify your income, battle burnout, and just keep from getting bored. So Kevin, thanks for being here. Bert, you too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's good to see you, Karen. I'm happy to help. I'm really excited. Let's get
Yeah,
started.
absolutely. So give us a snapshot of what you're up to these days. I know you're doing quite a few things.
So I have traditional therapy. I have an office in Denver and an office here in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, which is where I live. And then people are like, why would you live there? I'm like, because I'm 6 blocks from the ocean. Where do you live? Yeah, that was a
Yep,
pivot.
love it.
um, and so we offer traditional therapy, couples therapy, individual therapy, family therapy, yada yada yada,
Mhm.
in Denver and here, in person and online.
Nice.
But the pivot has really been is doing what we call family addiction coaching. So what we specialize in is families that are struggling with addiction.
Mhm.
And so we offer that nationally because it's not license based.
Right.
And although everyone in the team is licensed, I mean, these are all people that are, you know, mental health trained professionals.
Right.
Um, and we offer it online. But the pivot, so that's one, right? Okay. Offering, I guess, coaching, which I know is a semi-dirty word in our industry. But I mean, I know, but I, we're not, our coaching is designed to take that family that's like, oh my God, what do we do? He's shooting
Right.
heroin in the basement to getting that person into treatment, getting the family to start addressing their issues and take care of themselves. And then how do we reunify everybody and get long-term recovery for everybody?
Right.
We're also, and this is the second pivot, which is kind of a significant one. Sorry, Bert. Is we're doing that obviously in telehealth and in person, but we've recorded a lot of stuff that I've done and created a video course
Mhm.
that's available for the public. That's one. We're creating one for people that are not licensed professionals in the addiction industry. So sort of, we call it family addiction coaching, and that's going to have, we have that video course coming soon. And then there'll be one for people that are licensed mental health professionals, and that'll be family addiction counseling, and that'll have CEUs and curriculum attached to it. So
So
there
awesome.
you go.
Yes.
Got a few things cooking.
I love it. And that's why I asked you to come on because I think, for the audience, the viewers here, they're looking at how do I build an online course? And you're building multiple for different audiences. So talk to me about what's been rewarding so far. I know there's a lot of irons in the fire, but what's been really like worthwhile in this moment?
Well, I think sort of the thing I would say it's worthwhile is that every day in our practice, we successfully work with families that are struggling. And we have I created a specific plan. It's called Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. There's phase one, phase two. It's a very, you walk them through the process type of situation.
Right.
And what's been rewarding is it works. And families have been willing to give us testimonials and talk about how they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on treatment and spent years cycling through this process, and when they met us, all of a sudden they were like, do this, and all of a sudden it changed. So I think that's number one for what's rewarding. And my wife, my amazing, beautiful, amazing, lovely wife, Amy, said the tragedy of what you do is that you only talk to one family at a time. You need to take that message to a much larger audience and help more people at a time in our society when addiction is at its all-time high and people are dying on a daily basis.
Right.
Your voice, your message needs to get broadcast out on a more grand level. And so that's why we're doing it. And I would say, the reward is getting messages and emails and calls and texts from people all over the country saying, I watched your video, I heard your interview. Oh my God, thank you so much. You've given us direction. I've written 2 books on the subject, and I have a podcast, and mean, we try to just put as much information out on the table as humanly possible to help people achieve, you know, stability in their family system and recovery for them. A lot of people think that we're going to magically fix the individual. That's not our job. Our job is to help the family learn how to set boundaries.
Right. Which is so much more powerful and a bigger ripple effect, I would think too. So I have to agree with your wife, Amy. It needs to be out there for everybody.
Well, maybe he'll help me learn how to do a TED Talk.
That should be on your bucket list. Yes, absolutely. So what's been most challenging in building these courses so far? I know they're a process because you and I both have built courses. We've learned from each other and from others. What would you say to our viewers has been the most challenging?
You know, I think I'm a huge advocate of not recreating the wheel. And so I think the challenging thing for me is that I have, when I select my words carefully, I have not followed that. I have allowed myself to recreate the wheel and spend a lot of time and effort and money, and it wasn't necessary, if that makes sense. I don't think anything. I'm finally, with lots of help and therapy, I'm getting to the point where I realize it wasn't a mistake, it wasn't a waste, but that there was an easier path. And I should have trusted my instincts.
Gotcha. So some lessons learned along the way.
Yeah, I think I'm in a unique position in the sense that I'm 58 years old and this is my second career. I went back to school when I was 44 and I was a very successful salesperson for about 25 years. So selling is not an issue for me. You know, marketing is not an issue for me. I get that. And so when it comes down to, I know what I do. I know what I do well. I know how to do it. I know my strengths. And so it's, you know, you want to just go with the keep it simple, sweetheart, you know. Yeah. Not the other word. Right. and just do that. I mean, I'm good at, you know, people always ask me, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. Oh, that always stops the conversation. And they're like, well, oh really? What kind of deep work do you do? I'm like, well, I work with families that struggle with addiction and codependency. That really stops the conversation. And,
like, where do you go with that? Yeah.
They're like, I don't want to talk to this guy. And then they say, well, how's business? I'm like, well, the good news is business is great. And the bad news is business is great.
Right. So, there's such a demand for what you do now. So if people wanted to really talk to you further about this, because I know it was a process for you, it's something you've learned a lot about, what would be the best way for them to reach you?
They can go to my website, www.chronichope.us, and they can just send a message. They can email me there. They can call or text. The phone number's on there as well. Although I always tell people texting is much better than calling. No. And, you know, I'm all about, I'm big on, you know, helping people out and people help me out. And so, you know, why not? You know, I mean, there's plenty of pie for everybody. I'm not a scarcity model guy. I'm very much an abundance model guy.
Excellent. Well, I imagine they appreciate it. And scarcity is definitely a bad word for all of us. So we want to tackle that any way we can. So I will definitely make sure to include your website here in this video so people can reach out to you. Is there any last words of wisdom for their viewers when it comes to online courses and building those courses?
Yes, I do have one other thing to say. Find your niche. And don't make it something obscure or something that you think is going to be a good idea. I'm really good at families that struggle with addiction because I come from a family that struggles with addiction. And I struggled with addiction and then I got sober and I'm still sober. Blah, blah, blah. So, but you know, the people that I work with, one of the things they say, we really enjoy your authenticity and how genuine you are about your experience in this situation. And you know, in my world, for what I do, that's critical, absolutely critical. So I would just say, follow your instincts, trust, and get a niche. And let's be clear, trauma is not a niche. You know, you got to go deeper than that. But you know, it'll happen. It'll trust it. It'll happen.
Absolutely. I've used the analogy of it, thinking of like a funnel. You start with trauma as like the big thing, and then what's the person? Like create a profile for the ideal person you want to work for. So
Yeah.
That makes complete sense to me. Well, Kevin and Bert, I know Bert is just chilling here, hanging out. Thank you both for being here and talking about online courses. I know it's a huge arena for a lot of people to consider, and I think that this conversation can help them tackle that. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks. And I'm so excited. This is just wonderful. Cool.
Oh, thank you. Well, viewers, stay tuned for more awesome entrepreneurial therapists that are doing new things that can diversify their income and battle burnout. We'll see you next episode. See you then.